All right, so you're getting ready for this community development officer interview, and you want to really impress them, right?
Exactly.
That's where these RoleCatcher resources can really make a difference. I mean, we're talking sample questions, insightful follow-ups, all those little golden nuggets of career advice you find hidden in their guides. We'll even sprinkle in how RoleCatcher's AI can help you really fine-tune your answers and get feedback that is specific to this role. None of that generic stuff here.
It's like having a personal coach right in your pocket, helping you get ready for those tricky questions and nail those responses.
Exactly. So let's just jump right in with a classic question. Imagine the interviewer leans back and asks, what does community development mean to you? Seems simple enough, right?
Yeah.
But it's your chance to show them your passion and understanding.
It's more than just giving a textbook definition. They're looking for that personal connection. You know what drives you to make a difference in these communities.
So how do you avoid sounding like you just memorized something?
We'll try weaving in your personal values and beliefs. What parts of community development really resonate with you? Is it about empowering certain groups or creating economic opportunities? Maybe promoting environmental sustainability? Just let your authentic voice come through.
And don't forget to tie it back to the organization's mission.
Oh, absolutely. Do your research. Their website, annual reports, any recent articles you can find. See what their specific approach is to community development. Then you can connect your own vision and values to their goals.
It's like showing them you're not just a good fit for the role, but also a good fit for their whole culture.
Precisely. Now they might even throw you a curveball. Like, can you give us an example of a time you had to change your approach to community development to meet the needs of a really diverse community? This is where your flexibility comes in.
Okay, so how do you even prepare for a follow-up question like that?
Well, think back to your past experiences and pick out times where you had to tailor your approach to different cultural contexts or different socioeconomic backgrounds or different demographics. Highlight your ability to listen, build trust, and adapt how you communicate to really engage with all those different communities.
It's like proving you're not a one-size-fits-all kind of community developer.
Exactly. You have the skills and the sensitivity to work with all kinds of people, and that's a huge asset in this field.
Speaking of assets, let's move on to another really common question. They might ask you to tell them about a time you faced a real challenge in a community development project and how you overcame it.
This is your time to shine. Show off those problem-solving skills and that you're resilient. Pick a specific challenge that shows you can think critically, adapt to obstacles, and ultimately find a solution.
So it's not just about sharing a success story. It's about showing them how you handle the tough situations.
Exactly. What's even more important is to emphasize what you learned from it all. Did it change how you solve problems? Did it make you a better collaborator? Did you gain a deeper understanding of the community?
Show them that you're always learning, always trying to grow. That's something employers really value. And remember, RoleCatcher actually has a whole section in their career guide about this, dedicated to overcoming those common challenges.
It's packed with really helpful advice. And if you want personalized feedback on how to talk about your experiences, RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your responses to each specific job and even suggest ways to improve based on real interview data.
It's like having a secret weapon going into the interview.
Now let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about a question that really focuses on your ability to make an impact, they might ask. How do you actually measure the success of your community development work? Here's where you can show off your analytical skills and your commitment to getting results.
So we're talking about data and metrics now. How do you make those numbers come alive for the interviewer?
Don't just rattle off statistics. Connect those numbers to real-world outcomes. Did your project give people more access to affordable housing? Did it create jobs or improve education levels? Use real examples to show how your work made a difference in people's lives.
Paint a picture with those numbers. Show them the human impact. And speaking of data, this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be so helpful.
Absolutely. Their AI can analyze the job description and figure out what metrics the employer really cares about, so you can focus on those specific outcomes and really demonstrate that you understand what's important to them.
It's all about showing them you get it.
Precisely. And here's where it gets interesting. They might even follow up with, have you ever had to change how you measure success based on feedback from the community? This question tests how well you listen and adapt, and really put the community first.
So it's not just about checking boxes. It's about being responsive and flexible.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that the community knows what they need best. Show the interviewer that you value their input and that you're willing to adjust your plans accordingly.
We've already covered some pretty tough questions. But we're just getting started. Stay tuned, because next we're going to dive into even more challenging scenarios, including how to handle those curveball follow-up questions. You know, the ones that can really make or break your interview.
Let's tackle another question that trips people up. Imagine the interviewer asks, how do you ensure that community development projects are inclusive and equitable? This goes beyond just good intentions. You need to show you really understand social justice and that you're committed to creating opportunities for everyone.
It's a question that gets to the heart of community development.
Right.
So how do you move past just buzzwords and show you're really committed to this stuff?
It's all about concrete actions. Don't just talk about diversity, show them you've actually promoted it. Have you worked on projects that specifically helped marginalized communities? Or developed strategies to overcome language barriers or accessibility issues?
So show them you've actually done the work.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to be specific. Share how you've included those inclusive practices in your work, like in community engagement program design or even evaluation methods.
I bet the follow-up questions can get pretty intense here.
Oh, absolutely. They might ask you to share a time you had to advocate for an underrepresented group in a project. This is where you show your courage, your empathy, and how you can handle those complex power dynamics.
It's about showing them you're not afraid to challenge the system and fight for those who are often ignored.
Exactly. And this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful. Their platform has a whole module on inclusive community development with real-world examples, best practices, and even sample answers to those tough questions.
So you can make sure you're giving the best possible answers.
Right. And their AI can even look at your responses and tell you how to strengthen your message and make sure it connects with the specific employer.
Okay, let's move on to something else that's really important. Building partnerships. Interviewers always want to know about this. They might say something like, describe your experience collaborating with other organizations on these projects. What are they really getting at here?
They want to see how well you work with others, how you build consensus and manage all those different stakeholders. Community development is rarely a one-person show. It's about bringing everyone together using different resources and creating a shared vision for change.
So how do you impress them with your collaborative spirit?
Choose a project where you had multiple partners and highlight your role in those relationships, like how you made sure everyone was on the same page and working towards that common goal.
So don't just list who you worked with. Show them what you actually did to make those partnerships work.
Exactly. And remember to show the impact of those collaborations. Did you get more funding, expand the project, or create more sustainable outcomes?
Show them those real benefits. And don't forget, RoleCatcher has a whole section on building those partnerships in their career guide.
It's got practical tips on everything from finding the right partners to resolving conflicts. And their AI can even help you tailor your answers to the types of partnerships this employer cares about.
It's like having a partnership expert right there with you.
And here's a follow-up that can really catch you off guard. Tell me about a time a partnership didn't work out. What did you learn?
Oh, they're really testing you now.
Right. They're looking for honesty, self-awareness, and that you're willing to learn.
So be open about mistakes and how you grew from them.
Exactly. Pick a situation where you had a real challenge in a partnership and focus on what you learned and how you use those lessons later on. Show them you're not perfect, but you're always trying to improve.
All right, we've covered some big topics, but there's one more we need to talk about: sustainability.
Absolutely. They want to know you're not just focused on quick wins, but that you want to create real lasting change.
So what if they ask how you make sure projects have a long-term impact?
This is where you show your strategic thinking. Talk about community ownership capacity building, getting resources, and evaluating the project.
So show them you thought about what happens after the project is done.
Precisely. And you can impress them by sharing specific strategies you've used for sustainability, like training community members, partnering with local groups, or planning for long-term funding.
Show them you're in it for the long haul. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answers to the specific sustainability goals of this employer.
That's right. They can analyze the job description and see what keywords relate to sustainability. So you can highlight those areas and show them you're on the same page.
It's like having a sustainability expert giving you insider tips. Okay, we've covered a lot, but we're not done yet. There's one more crucial area to talk about: economic impact. So stay tuned, because next we'll dive into how to connect your work to the big picture and really show those economic benefits of community development. Okay, let's talk about this whole economic impact thing. Interviewers really want to see that you get it. Community development isn't just about feel-good projects. It can actually drive economic growth. So imagine they ask you, How would you measure the economic impact of a community development project? What are you thinking?
Well, it's about showing that you understand how this work leads to real economic benefits. It's not just about social outcomes. You have to think about things like creating jobs, helping businesses grow property values, and the overall economic activity.
So connecting community well-being with economic success. How do we make that connection clear?
Focus on things you can measure. For example, instead of saying, the project helped revitalize downtown, you could say the project led to a 15% increase in new businesses downtown, which created 50 new jobs and brought in an estimated $2 million in revenue.
Wow, those numbers sound impressive. It's like painting a picture of success with data. But how do we know which numbers really matter to this specific employer?
That's where RoleCatcher's AI can help. Their platform can look at the job description and figure out which economic indicators the employer really cares about, like is it job growth or tax revenue or maybe property values?
Yeah.
Once you know what they're looking for, you can tailor your answers.
It's like having a custom report that highlights exactly what they want to see. I bet they might have some tricky follow-up questions, though.
Oh, definitely. They could ask something like, have you ever been in a situation where the economic goals clashed with the social or environmental goals? How did you deal with that?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, they're really testing you to see how you balance those competing priorities.
And how you find those creative solutions.
Exactly. It's about showing them you can think critically, consider all sides, and try to find win-win solutions whenever you can. Sometimes it takes compromise, but you have to show that you're committed to both economic and social progress.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from tackling those tough questions to using RoleCatcher's AI to your advantage. What are some key things you want our listeners to remember?
Preparation is key. The more you know about the job, the organization, and the community, the more confident you'll be. Use those RoleCatcher resources to get ready for those questions. Craft great answers and practice how you'll say them.
And don't forget to let your passion show. Community development is all about making a difference. Let them see that enthusiasm.
Exactly. Because in the end, it's not just about getting the job. It's about making a real impact on those communities.
And that journey starts with a fantastic interview. So go out there and knock their socks off,